Welcome back to another episode of these crazy fools that just eat meat and can't stop talking about it. We got our buddy Joe Zumbo back from down under. And of course, Justin All Out Life Carnivore phoning it in from the deep Midwest slash almost South, right?
Well, more northeast now, I guess.
Oh, okay. That's right. You just moved. So
Uh-huh.
So when we're setting this up, Joe had a little bit of a crisis because a police chase started. And he's like, damn it, why is it got to be a police chase while we're about to record? So what's going on with that police chase? What's going on? He said it was in Lakewood.
Yeah, so it looks like the idiot doesn't know how to drive.
Mm,
He's had a traffic collision.
yeah.
Has gotten out and he's injured and he's trying to break into a home.
Nice.
Yeah,
Love
so
it.
that's the latest update.
That's a good way to get shot in LA.
Try to break
Yeah.
into someone's home.
Yeah, cops chasing you and you rush into somebody's house. You're probably gonna get shot or brained with a chair or something, I'm guessing.
So actually on the subject of chases, right? You guys are from LA,
Mm.
okay?
More or
So I have a
less.
so I have a question for you. Every time I watch a pursuit, they're doing 90, 100 miles an hour on the freeways. Why is it that when I was over there, we were lucky to do 20 miles an hour on the freeway? And
That's
there was always traffic, always traffic. Were we on the wrong freeways?
No, it's just like it's a thing of synchronicity because you can't really have a high speed chase when there is traffic. So they basically have to take place in places where there is no traffic at that moment.
Right, but every freeway we went on, there was always traffic.
Yeah, remember that? Was it in the morning when we were driving back from LA to my place and there was no traffic that one time? We drove all the way from I don't know, the hotel or something at the night after the concert. You remember that? And we drove and we were like,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
Oh
that was a
yeah.
really good run. Yeah.
yeah,
And
so
then there was
that's
yeah,
when
and
you
then we
have a
dropped
police
Justin
chase.
off. Yeah, but then we dropped Justin off, and then we decided to go to Huntington Beach.
Mm,
And on the way back, it was at a walking pace.
hmm.
So I don't know how many miles. There's many miles. It was very,
Yeah.
very slow.
And
It
wasn't
was
that like you were dying to get home because you were in the middle of like a refi or
a, another crisis with Qantas,
oh, it was
the sa-
Qantas. That's right.
the Qantas, the safest airline in the world with the shittest customer service. Instead of refunding my points, well, actually, yeah, instead
Oh,
of
you're
refunding my
we're stuck in
points because
traffic and your phone died and I didn't have an iPhone charger because I'm an
yeah,
Android guy. So
and it
you're
was the
like,
one time I didn't charge my phone.
your phone
The
was
one
dying. Yeah.
Yeah, so I spent 1 hour on the phone with Qantas, telling them that they've made a mistake and they need to refund me my points because they've double charged me. They refunded the points and cancelled my ticket. So
The
yeah,
joys of
so yes,
traveling.
oh
Mm.
yeah, and then they was telling me it was the flight was fully booked. Anyway, it was a mess, an absolute mess.
You were a little bit on edge during that car ride home.
Uh, on edge. Is that what you want to call it? Yeah, this is, I think my stress levels were through the roof.
The joys of traffic and travel. The
Yeah.
stories of planes, trains, and automobiles. So, let's see. So Joe lives all the way in Sydney, Australia,
Sunny Sydney.
and
Let's get it right. Sunny Sydney.
Sydney, and they don't have police chases down there, but we have an abundance of them here in LA. So
Mhm.
Joe usually notifies me of police chases before I ever hear of them. He's like, oh, I see my phone pings and it's Joe, and it's like, you know, 19 police cars chasing somebody down the 405 or the 91 or the 15 or the 10 or the 60 or the 605 or the
Well, there was
4.
one by the 60 yesterday in
Is that
Ontario.
right?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and the guy was didn't want to get out of the car until they bought the bear cat, and then
Mm.
it sort of calmed the mood down.
Well, you remember you sent me that link to the one and started in Corona, like 2 weeks ago or something like that. They were on the
Which one was it?
freeway. Corona PD was chasing somebody down the freeway, and then they went from probably the 15 to the 91. And I left work late, and I got on the freeway, and it was jammed up bad. And then I noticed that
Ah, yes.
that chase was on the other side of the freeway from where I was. There was more police on the other side of the freeway than I'd ever seen in one place. There was nothing but lights on the other side of the freeway for like a quarter mile in either direction. It's like, oh damn it.
That was the hang on, wasn't that the guy that was shooting back at the police?
Yeah, that was not the first one. There's one that happened before you came, remember, and we drove past it, and then there was another one just like 2 weeks ago. And yeah, he was shooting. He had a rifle or
Yeah,
something, shooting out the
yeah,
window at the cops.
he stopped on the freeway. Stopped on the freeway, puts his sticks his body out the car and just starts firing at the police at Corona PD. Yeah, and that
Yeah,
ended up that was in near Anaheim, I think, is where it
it
where
was
it
on the way
finished.
to Anaheim. I think it was
Yeah,
technically it was in Yorba Linda. Yeah,
I think in Harbor City for some reason, or Harbor.
yeah. I don't think it
Uh,
went quite that far because
okay.
the police I ran into, I think were in Yorba Linda. I assume it was. I don't even know if it was the same event. It could have been an entirely different event
Possibly.
on the same freeway, just 5 miles away or something like that. But yeah, so I was like, geez, I should have opened that link one more time before I left the office to see
Now,
where it
now,
ended.
now you got to think to yourself, right? All these criminals probably eat lots of junk food. Imagine if they were carnivore, how much more clarity they would have, and they probably wouldn't even get caught. They'd outsmart the police.
Well, they probably wouldn't do these crazy things because they'd probably feel better and be healthier, right?
Possibly.
Yeah. Of course, they would be
But
better at it if
that's no
they're.
good for me then.
No, it's not.
Ah.
Your biggest form of entertainment goes right out the window.
Well, we all have to make sacrifices, Joe, for a better world. So there you go.
So I'm going to put Joe on the spot. Joe, how much do you think your sort of obsession with the police chases is related to your Aspie like condition?
Oh, 100%. I'll pull over. If I get a notification while I'm driving, I'll pull over and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you think that if you weren't on the spectrum, you probably wouldn't be quite as enamored by it, right?
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
So when we were having the riots a couple years ago, were you more scared for us, or was it like, oh wow, this is great? Or is it more police chases? Because I know you also really like law enforcement,
I
right?
do. I do. Um, I wasn't scared for you guys because I mean Tom lives in Riverside County, so all the trouble was happening in LA County. Um, so I don't think I was too worried about that. But I was listening to it on a scanner app. So I was listening to the police radio traffic as well on the scanner radio,
Mm.
as well as watching it on TV. So that was pretty cool.
Did you see? I remember me and Tom were watching like down in downtown LA, how they had the blockade or whatever, and those
Mhm.
guys with cars that would just roll as close as they could to it and then do like a donut or something and roll back. Do you remember that, Tom?
Was it kind of like a street takeover situation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. It's crazy how that happens. And it's like, I kind of get it, the excitement of, fast cars and doing stunts and smoking tires, but yeah, it's completely out of control. And of course, we kept driving past the 6th Street Bridge downtown LA, right? They've built this great big bridge that kind of goes through the city there, and it's all nicely lit. And all it does is attract people who want to do stunts and, you know,
Idiots.
driving too fast and climbing up over the bridge and stuff.
Mhm.
It's like you
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, but there was that when they opened it up, I think that week they had to close it again because people going crazy doing donuts on the bridge. They had a guy, if you look it up, he put a barber chair in the middle of the bridge and started cutting someone's hair as traffic was going either way. Look it up. You'll see it.
Oh my god. Yeah, every
And
time
then you wonder why I have a fascination with the place. It's
I
crazy.
was
It's
driving
entertainment.
by there when some friends were out visiting more recently, and I don't think it was open. I didn't see any cars on it, you know. I think they've just closed it off because it's such an attraction.
We
So,
saw it coming back from the Dodgers game.
mm,
We're pretty close to it, but
mhm.
we never got. I never got to drive over it.
Yeah, next time. Next time we'll drive over it and you can do some stunts. You can get out in the
Yeah,
middle and start making some pastries or something.
There you go.
yeah.
We'll just have a
Fire up.
barbecue. We'll just start
I
cutting
was
up
gonna say
Yeah,
fire
let's
up a
just have a
barbecue.
barbecue in the middle of
Yeah.
the bridge.
Those
Yeah.
meat sticks.
Just eat some grilling some meat sticks out there.
Hmm.
Meat sticks. Yeah, that's it. And
Yeah.
and tomato sauce.
Oh, I had this
Mhm.
idea. Okay, the meat mosaic should
Mm.
adopt a freeway. So we have one of those like freeway signs that
All right,
says
we'll
like
look into that. Are we gonna
sponsored by or cleanup crew, sponsored by the meat mosaic.
do they have that in Missouri?
They do have those. I mean, they
Oh,
have those signs like they do in California.
all right. So let's look into that.
Yeah, we could sponsor a highway.
There you go. Adopt a highway program.
And there's a local gas station that wants you to subscribe to their YouTube, which I find very interesting.
What? Say that again?
A gas station,
Yeah.
very local, has a sign that says subscribe to our YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Did you look to see what they were posting?
No, I haven't yet. I need to remember. I think that it's like free ride gas station or something. I don't know. Or convenience store. I don't know. Yeah. But I just thought that was really funny. I think that's
Gas station with a YouTube channel. Who knew?
yeah. I mean, tons of entertainment happen at the gas station or the
Probably.
convenience stores. So I mean, if they're just streaming the security footage, then yeah, they're gonna make a mint. I just don't know if that's legal.
So what sort of antics do you think they're seeing at that gas station?
Oh, who knows? I mean,
Speculate.
Could be a lot. Could
you
be a live
name it.
webcam.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so.
Yeah, somebody driving off with a nozzle still in their car, and
Filling up an electric car.
there you go. The
Yeah.
Tesla pulls up and they can't figure out where the gas cap is. It's all good stuff, right?
You'd be concerned if they had an OnlyFans account.
Yeah.
Find out that cameras are in the bathroom or something.
Someone wigging out over there not enough gummy worms. I don't know.
There you go.
Or
Okay.
Slurpee or whatever it's called.
Every time somebody mentions Slurpee, I get a little sad because they took Hapu out of The Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
Very sad. It was a great character. Well, this is the only one with good morals and work ethic too. Except maybe Lisa, right?
Yeah. Well, Lisa did go through that vegetarian streak, so I don't know.
Yeah,
She loses points.
she learned.
Hmm.
I hear she only eats pork chops now. So
Oh yeah.
Do you got any obsessions like Joe does that you kind of attribute to your aspiness, your tism?
I'm really not sure. I think it kind of hops around, I
Mm,
guess. Can't really think of my current obsession,
mm.
but like, I don't know, I'm way more of, I guess, in the moment kind of person. Can't really think of anything at the moment.
Well, what
But
have been the past ones? Give video games or
oh, like
something.
anime, video games. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z for sure. Music. Yeah, getting stuck on the same album for like a month straight, listening
Oh
to
yeah.
it over and over and over
What
again. Yeah.
albums have you been stuck on?
Okay, so Slipknot, Iowa, probably some
Mm,
Korn albums.
mm.
Um, Metallica. I don't know. Probably like all the albums I own. I've probably been stuck on it for like a while. Or like I'll cycle through and I'll be like really into Nirvana for like a month. So I'll just listen to like nothing but like Nirvana for a while. Or like Velvet Revolver or Primus. I don't know. It's kind of a little bit more like a band sometimes too. Just kind of like really into that music for like a month or something.
Yeah, I got stuck on I don't know, just popped into my head and I had to listen to it for like 2 weeks straight. Like, I don't know how many times a day. It's an old album from like the late 90s. It's called the band's called God Lives Underwater.
Mhm.
And the one out this probably their second album is called the so-called Space Age.
Mm.
And just that I can't stop listening to it sometimes. Like I wake up
Mhm.
thinking about it. You know, I'm driving down the street, the highway, and then I was like, oh, I gotta hear that. You know, so that was one of my more recent ones for sure. So yeah, I do that. How about Joe? Besides George Michael, who do you get obsessed with listening to?
I like all types of music. I like putting playlists together.
Mm,
Mm.
I recently put a playlist together of 90s Euro dance music.
mm.
And
Nice.
yeah, so it's about uh, almost 90 hours worth of music.
Oh wow.
90
Yeah,
hours.
yeah, so it's over 1,000, so it's about 1,100 songs. So yeah, I mean, I go to extremes when it comes to things. You know,
So how many
um,
playlists do you think you've made?
well, I made one for Valentine's Day, and that's about
For
all love songs.
yourself or
No,
for
no,
your
no,
wife?
no, no. I did it for work, just for fun.
Uh,
Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's about 8 hours long. Then I did another one, which is just old 80s, 90s music, which is about 15 hours long. So yeah, so that's pretty much it.
All right, guys, since we have this in common, how many Rammstein songs are in your playlists?
Well, I think I've just on Spotify, I've just liked the albums.
Hmm. Yeah, you can
So
listen to a whole Rammstein album easy over and over again.
so that
yeah,
brings me to a question.
Hmm.
Are you able to skip through an album, like skip songs, or do you feel like you have to listen to it like first song to last song?
Joe, you want to take that one first?
I will listen to first song to last song.
Yeah, me too, typically. It took me a
Yeah,
long time. Like one of my you called pet peeves. Do you guys have pet peeves, that word in Australia, that saying?
we do.
Yeah. So one of my pet peeves is that when you're in the car with somebody and they won't like they keep changing the station like mid song
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something, that
that
drives
shit.
me
Yeah, yeah, I'm the
completely
same.
bonkers. Like even if I don't like the song, it's just like please just leave the dial alone for like a song or two. I get if it's a commercial, but like yeah, that drives me kind of really crazy.
Yeah, but you know, you said that you had you have stints there where you listen to an album for a whole month.
Mm.
I will listen to a song, one song on repeat for many weeks.
Mm.
Yeah,
What was the last song you remember doing that to?
I was an old 90s. Oh no, hang on, was it? And it might have been a Richard Marx song.
Hmm. Yeah, you just went
Yeah,
and saw him recently, right?
I did. I did. So have I disappeared off the screen?
Nope.
No, you're here.
No, you're
Okay.
still here. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I went and saw him in concert. He is 59 years old and he sounds exactly the same as when he was performing in the 80s.
Hmm.
Mm.
Like unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I
Just
think
fantastic. Fantastic.
Till, what's his name? Till Lindemann or something like
Yeah.
that. The lead singer from Rammstein. He's like 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't know by watching him perform. That's for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, but they're just so talented, you know. One thing I did learn, I'm a little bit disappointed about, is that Richard Marx is vegan.
Mm.
Yeah, he probably won't last long.
He's vegan. Yeah, I was a bit okay, fair enough. Whatever.
Well, and how old is Robert Smith now?
Oh, he'd be in his 60s, 61, 62.
Maybe more than that, right? I don't know.
No. He'd be in his Robert Smith, for anyone that doesn't know, he's the lead singer of The Cure. The
Mhm.
Cure. The Cure. How do you
The
guys say it? The
Cure.
Cure.
The
Cure.
Cure.
The
That's
Cure.
Cure. Who are currently doing a tour of North America. And if you can get tickets, good luck.
Yeah,
Ah,
right.
right.
When I looked that night, they started at $579. I was like,
US dollars,
yeah, US dollars. No, I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Oh, no, you won't get tickets.
Nah, I mean I was gonna look up his age.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I
Well, yeah,
mean,
I mean, celebrities being vegan, right? That's a big like, ooh,
yes. So
a
he's
cool thing or
63 years
whatever.
old.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Joe was really close.
yeah.
61, 62. I said, yeah.
Simon Gallup is 62. So yeah, so they're up there, but yeah, it'd be good to go see them. I mean, uh that'd be pretty amazing to see him play. So
But
but
not at that price.
yeah, not that price. And there he's been Robert Smith is in the news because he thought Ticketmaster or somebody who was selling
Yeah.
tickets was charging too many
Is
fees
it?
or something, or was
Yeah.
they had exceeded what was in the contract or something like that. So that was
They
nice.
blasted them.
Yeah. But the tickets are still hundreds of dollars. So
And you know what? They're like, I did make the comment to you. I said, look, it'd be a once in a lifetime opportunity to go see them in, it was the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
And you said, $500 a ticket. And I said, yeah, look, I remember paying $500 a ticket when George Michael was here.
Mm,
But then I thought about it, but that's $500 US,
Hmm.
which is probably closer to like $800 Australian.
mm,
It's a lot of money. I'd still
yeah.
go, I'd still spend it though.
Yeah, I suppose I'd do it for one time, just seeing because they're in their 60s. I don't know. It, it will when we get a chance to see them again, especially in North America, because they're a UK band for people who don't know. So
Mm.
they probably I don't know where they live or not that they all the members live in the same place, but um, they probably live in the UK, so they're
Mhm.
probably gonna tour more in Europe than here. So oh well.
Speaking of which, pretty disappointing that Ozzy Osbourne said he quit LA and moved back to the UK.
Oh yeah.
Pretty, pretty not happy about that.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
You want him to
Really?
stay now?
Well, because Ozzy Osbourne tickets weren't really that expensive because he lived in LA. So like he would
Ah,
host festivals and stuff.
Ozfest, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, his health's a bit crap at the moment, isn't it?
I
I don't
haven't gotten
know.
any recent updates, but he's usually kind of struggling.
Yeah, how old is he now?
Oh, he'd
Oh,
be
he's
he'd
got
be
to be in his
touching.
60s.
No,
74.
I was
Oh,
gonna
he's
say in his 70s.
74? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
Yeah,
yeah.
he
he
was that old.
he was already a huge star before the Cure came along. It's got 10 years
Yeah,
on him, 12 years.
yeah,
So
yeah. And look, the amount of drugs that guy's taken. Wow,
the amount of bats that guy's eating.
it's surprising that he's lasted this long. Personally, anyway.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. So should we go into that article next?
Sure. So, Joe, well, how's the endurance running going? For those that don't know, Joe, I always call him a semi-professional endurance cyclist.
Nah.
Uh, just
Just a
because the
Fruit Loop.
level you do it at is higher than a hobbyist. So, don't know exactly where to put you.
He's definitely hardcore and super competitive, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I've actually stopped cycling and started running.
Right. Yeah.
So today I went for a 10-mile run this morning.
Wow.
Yeah, so So yeah, just gearing up for a half marathon that will be doing in 10 weeks from now. 10, 9 weeks,
Nice.
whatever it is.
Countdown.
So
There
that's
you
about
go.
Yeah, so I get
13 miles.
21 Ks. So yeah, it's 30 miles, something like that. So it's going to be these are all little stepping stones to get to. I want to do I want to do a full marathon eventually.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's achievable because with cycling, there's so much, you have to invest so much of your time to get good. Whereas with running, you have to invest a lot of time, but it's nowhere near as much as cycling.
Hmm.
Yeah, and what about equipment, right? I mean,
Well,
you
that's another
you don't
story
exactly
altogether.
ride inexpensive bicycles, do you?
Well, yeah, I mean, a bicycle can cost, a good one from 15 up to 25,000 Australian dollars. So they're quite expensive. I bought a pair of carbon plated running shoes the other day. I haven't used them, and they were $380. So they're 250 US.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how long you think a pair of shoes like that lasts?
I think I've read between 200 to 300 miles. That's it. But they're not. It's not a daily trainer. You don't use them all the time. You use them for race days or for specific workouts. That leading up to a race.
Yeah, so let's dive into your obsession with shoes. You're a Imelda Marcos gene there. So you like the sort of stylish sneakers, and you
No.
also are into the exotic running shoes, right?
Exotic riding shoes. I just like good shoes. I have 30 pairs of Jordans.
30 pairs of Jordans.
Yeah, yeah,
Yikes.
yeah.
Honey, how many pairs of shoes do you have? You think total?
Shoes? How many shoes?
Yeah, counting at your brother's garage.
Not
in
including
here.
thongs, huh? Flip
You mean
flops.
mine?
Yeah,
Shoes.
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4,
3
5,
pairs.
6, 7, 8, 9,
Just do an inventory.
10.
Stock
10.
take.
Yeah, I guess.
10.
Uh-huh.
So you have more Jordans than my wife has of shoes, like just shoes.
And mind you,
Just for context.
I don't wear the Jordans either.
Yeah, she doesn't wear like any of those shoes. She just listed either.
So yeah, look, I've tried because I'm new to running. I've tried a few different pairs of shoes, and I think the two pairs that work for me are the Ultra, which are a zero drop, and the other one is the Hoka shoes. They work for me. They're a 5 mil drop. I tried the Asics or Asics and ended up Asics ended up with the calf strain.
Mhm.
So because the it's like an 8 or 9 mil drop. Good shoes to run in, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think I didn't like the drop. A bit too aggressive for me.
So
Mm.
what's the drop mean? What is that in reference to?
So just think of your foot, or is it like that? Okay, so in a pair of ultras, there's zero drop. So from heel to toe, there is a zero drop, and then you get a pair of Hokas, and then you might have a 5 mil drop. So 5 mil, so you're 5 mil higher at the heel than you are at the toe.
Now is that
So
5 millimeters that you're saying?
5 millimeters, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because we have a different
So
term. Mil means something different in the US, believe it or not.
no, not MILF, mil.
Mil, no, mil, not
Just making
mil.
sure.
Yeah, MILF means something.
Eh,
MILF means something else, but that's universal. So
That's universal language. um, yeah, millimeter. So that's what it is. So it just makes it more aggressive. Yeah. it just loads up different parts of the legs as well, calves, glutes, hamstrings, I should say. But yeah, I just found that when I was running in the Asics, the Nova Blast, which is meant to be like one of the top shoes out there, it just again, it was nice to run in when I wasn't injured, but I was just getting too many nigglies, so pulled the pin on them.
Neaglies?
Mm.
Yeah,
What's
little
a knee?
issues.
Issues. Neagly. We got to add that to the vocabulary. Neaglies. Issues. All right.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, so they're the two brands I like running in, Hoka and I think Ultra is my favorite. It's a zero drop. It's more natural. It just makes it just corrects your feet and your running style as well.
I tried to
Mm.
find a pair of ultras to wear and I couldn't get any to fit. Of course, I never find any shoes that fit. So
Well, you know what? They actually make three different widths. They make a slim, a standard, and the original. The original's really wide.
yeah, so I was bugging Zach Bitter. I was like, dude, and he knew exactly the volume of the shoe and the width and everything. And I
Sponsored
went,
by them.
yeah, so yeah, it's sponsored by him, so he knows all about them. And I went and tried them on, but they're not tall enough. They're not really wide enough
Mm.
for my feet. So I was looking at shoes that were the only ones my foot fit in were way too long. So wound up
Mhm.
not getting them, but I couldn't find I couldn't find any brand of shoe like that fit. So that's why I still wear those, the five
What size
fingers.
foot? What size foot are you?
Well, the length isn't that long. It's like 12 or something, 12 American size 12.
Yeah, American sizes. Yeah, that's what we run off. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, so mine's a 10. 10
Well,
typically.
got a big foot. So you guys have seen how tall I am,
Mhm.
and how short I am. I'm a size 12 US.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, and you're a little bit taller than Justin, was it? I think
I
Yeah,
think
I
we
think
did measure, and I was taller than Justin. Justin
just a
said, "I'm
little
Yeah.
bit.
180. I'm 180. Yeah, 180." Then I stood next to him. I was taller than him.
Yeah. But I've got really wide, thick feet, so that's where I run into an issue. I'm always buying shoes that are bigger than 12s. I mean, I
Mm.
mostly wear moccasins around. They're
Mhm.
fairly well known here in the States. They're from Minnesota and they're flat. They're basically a zero drop shoe, and I get their extra wide, like 13s or something like that, to get enough room. So, and they still, the first couple days I wear them, they're tight over the top.
You got
So
to wear them in.
yeah, after I wear them in, they're fine because they're leather.
Mhm.
And then I'll wear the classic five finger because it's open on top, right? So where my foot's really thick, it's just the shoe's open there. So
Can breathe.
otherwise, I'll go walk around barefoot.
So what was this article that I know Justin sent an article on? I've been a little bit slack this week. I've been very busy with work and other commitments. So what was this article you're talking about, Justin?
Yeah, so basically the article alludes that, and I could probably pull it up if you guys give me a minute.
I'm pulling it up.
Oh, okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah. So it's endurance exercise tied to more coronary atherosclerosis. It was published in March 10th
Let's
of
take a
this
minute.
year.
Let's take a minute on that. Who here can properly pronounce atherosclerosis? That's like one of the worst words to try and say, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
definitely is.
And what is atherosclerosis?
Isn't it plaque buildup?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's
Plaque in the
plaque in the arteries, the kind of thing we associate with heart attacks or infarctions. Right. So go on, Justin. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, so essentially, if you read through the article, what it alludes is that they found some quote unquote evidence of people that did endurance more or less endurance, which they classified endurance as more than 3 hours a week of jogging speed, basically, that seem to increase their risk of atherosclerosis through seeing more plaque in the heart of these people, basically.
By heart, you mean arteries.
Arteries, yeah, in their arteries. Um, but it doesn't really. So even in this paper, the doctor or whatever was like, we can't. At least he was being fair in that he can't. He's like, we can't really determine. He's like, I don't want people to be scared of exercising. He's like, overall, we still have an issue of under exercise rather than over exercise. But this is found to have more, again, plaque flowing through arteries in endurance athletes or those that participate in endurance exercise for more than 3 hours a week.
Now, was the
So,
plaque flowing through the arteries or sticking in the arteries? That was the issue.
well, I think it was like sticking in the arteries. Yeah.
No, that's all great, but does it mention anywhere in this study?
Well, it
about-
says right here, regardless of plaque type, whether it was calcified, mixed, or non-calcified.
Yeah, it does say
So
that.
just general plaque flowing through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was going to ask the question: does it mention anywhere in the study about the person's diet?
No, it
Of
doesn't.
course not.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Yeah, I did
I
not.
think that would play a big role in it.
Well,
And
yeah,
we've
that's
seen
kind of
that.
everything, right?
Yeah, and typically people that are endurance athletes do like to consume a bit of carbs.
Mm, right.
Or a lot.
Got a carb
Or
load.
yeah,
Got to have that spaghetti and
sure.
meatballs or
Carb
spaghetti
loading.
meatball and sub,
Yeah, carb
like I
loading
used to do.
the day
And a
before
can of
and
Coke.
then sucking down a bunch of goo. What do they call it in Australia? That
Good. The gels.
yeah, they call it the same brand there.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. It's a brand. GU.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot to take away from that. 3 hours. Look, I think intensity. What's the intensity of the person's doing it at? How often are they doing it? Every week? Are they doing it? Every couple of weeks they're doing that run. What diet are they consuming as well? So there's a
Well,
few things.
look, oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, finish.
So I think that's quite important because I know Tom's had a scan done, and what was it? 1 to 0, 1 to like,
Oh, it's like 1 to 5,000. And then mine was a 6, I think.
which is nothing,
Yeah, it's pretty
basically.
minor. A
So
lot of people of course that was sort of the beginning. So but a lot of people my age, well, like Ray, wasn't Ray like 600 or something?
Yeah, Ray
600
was like
raised
600.
really high. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not here, but haven't talked to him in a while. But Buffalo Joe, wasn't he like 1,500 or something?
I think it was
Yeah,
over 1,000 for sure.
but then like Sean, he was 0.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the carnivore circles who had it done, they got a 0 score. And then we're talking about the coronary artery calcium score. So that's usually like a CAT scan or an MRI of the arteries, and they go in and they can see the plaque. So, and they score the plaque buildup basically in the arteries. So just so people know what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. And I think Sean may exercise more than 3 hours a week. Just taking a guess.
I would think so. Given all the, I don't never heard him say exactly how many hours a week, and I doubt, I don't know how many hours a week I exercise either because I never add it up, right? I just go
Right.
do it and I do what I'm doing, and then it's done, and people do ask me about that because like, well, how much time are you putting into it? Because I get it, managing the time, making the time for it, that's that's an issue, and I mean, like I reference Allie Q Dub. She's a pro bodybuilder that I know from the gym, and she she said she generally doesn't work out more than 45 minutes a day, and it's mostly lifting. I'm sure she does. I know she does some cardio too, because she posts stuff like that. She posts pictures of, I think she's got a step master and treadmills, everything at home. So she does some cardio, I'm sure, especially when she's leaning out for a competition. But when you're lifting, it's hard to judge intensity, because like she's a bodybuilder, so she's doing the hypertrophy training and she's doing a smaller muscle group. It doesn't really get your heart rate up quite as high. Your body's not working quite as hard because you're working on smaller muscle groups. But then you turn around and do deadlifts or something, and that's like everything you got. It's your heart's thumping, you're
You're empty in the tank.
yeah. So it's not the same as you running balls out. But I know Zach Bitter, I always reference him because he's the runner I know the most about. But he said, he's an ultra marathoner, right? So it's like the guy will do races that are, it's 24 hours of running or something insane, or he'll run over 100 miles, just like, holy crap. And he's like, yeah, you definitely don't want to do this for your health. It's not a healthy thing, right? So, but
Yeah, I've actually heard people say that, running takes years off your life.
yeah, well, why don't runners live longer than everyone else? It's the same question. Why don't doctors live longer? Why don't nutritionists live longer? Right. So, yeah. Why don't vegans live longer?
Well, we know why vegans don't live longer.
Are you playing with your ratatouille or something? What is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Ratatouille.
Is that a
I hope Disney doesn't sue us.
is that a special effect, or is that a little doll you're playing with?
It's a little doll that Sarah has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin's version of Yellow Ted.
It's-
What the hell? Like a minion.
All right.
Thank you, honey. Very, very helpful.
Oh, the honey's in on it. I see. Starting to make sense. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about eating carnivore, and why we think it's different when you just eat meat in relation to atherosclerosis. I mean, what do you guys what do you think's going on? What do you think's actually happening in the artery that causes it to block?
Well, I mean, it seems to be that when you get the metabolic dysfunction due to eating carbohydrates, insulin spikes, what have you, as well as the issue with the Randle cycle, combining fats and carbohydrates in the body, leading to inflammation in the body. You get an inflamed heart, plus you get the particles getting kind of warped and sticky, and cholesterol's like a body's anti-inflammatory. So you have a heart that's being inflamed daily, or parts of the body being inflamed daily, cholesterol going to those areas, those lipid particles that get measured, carrying with it cholesterol. Cholesterol's kind of sticky, the wall's kind of sticky and warped, and so you end up with this kind of Velcro situation in your heart valves and arteries. And yeah, then you get then they find the plaque, right? After the mitochondria, no, not infarction. There you go.
Myocardial infarction. Okay.
Mitochondrial infarction. Yeah. Myocardial, because I always want to say mitochondria infarction, which I suppose is also true.
They get
But
infarcted.
myocardial infarction.
Yeah, it's another impossible word.
Right.
Well, Joe, what do you think's going on?
whatever Justin said.
Yeah, you summed it up nicely. Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
he did. He did. But to make it triglycerides, are the issue,
hmm,
which is the Randall cycle.
yeah. Yeah, so triglycerides are combination of fats and sugars, right, that accumulate in the blood, right? So, back to the Randall cycle, kind of what's going on is once the cells have as much as they are designed to have as far as fuel goes, whether it be sugar or fat, then they stop absorbing it, and so it builds up in the bloodstream, right? So the fats and carbohydrates, or the glucose and fatty acid chains, are circulating in the blood, and the cells are like, oh, we're full, and they close the door, right? And then it backs up in the blood. And that's one of the things that you see when you look at like a hemoglobin A1C score, is they look at how much the glucose has damaged the red blood cells, right? So they are sort of the sacrificial lamb, as it were. So the excess sugar in the blood glycates the red blood cells, and that's what they're counting when they do an A1C score. So if you have a elevated A1C score for a long period of time, that generally indicates that you've been suffering from high blood sugar, right? And then the endothelium, or the cells inside the arteries, same thing. The glycation happens to them, then you get inflammation, and it seems like, particularly on the left side, the left descending artery, it's a high pressure side of the heart, it's where the blood's being pushed out as opposed to being pulled in, seems to be one of the primary places that atherosclerosis builds up, the plaque builds up, and then over time the body covers it with calcium in order to stabilize it, because the plaque is a squishy material, right? It can break loose and float through the body and cause a blockage, right? It could cause a
Aneurysm.
stroke. Yeah, an aneurysm, a stroke in the brain, or pulmonary embolism, deep tissue thrombosis, stuff like that happens when that goo's floating around, right? So it seems like the old model was that, oh, you eat animal fat, the fat's in your blood, and then it sticks there, right? But really what we know now is that there's an injury there. There's a sore spot, right? So the body tries to bandage over it. Somehow the lining of the artery is lined with the glycocalyx, which is like a really slippery hair-like structures, right? That helps the fluid flow through freely, right? It's been, yeah, apparently, a lot of fish have the same sort of coating out on the outside to make them really slippery. And then it seems as though something, and those large arteries actually have their own blood supply, right? So they're actually quite thick, and they have their blood supply supplied to them from the exterior rather than the blood flowing through them. And somehow you wind up with inflammation there, and that inflammation attracts a bandage, a repair mechanism, an autoimmune reaction that accumulates the atherosclerosis, or the plaque, to it, to bandage it over, right? And so this old model of, it's just animal fat or saturated fat flowing through your blood and just sticking there and clogging things up doesn't really make any sense, right? And there seems to be well, we've known that there's certain foods and habits that do encourage the accumulation of those plaques there, right? But now we see, people go on a animal-based diet where they're just eating basically mostly muscle meat and associated animal fat, right? And we see a reduction of inflammation throughout the body, and we don't see people with high triglycerides. We don't see people with low HDLs as much. Sometimes the overall cholesterol goes up a little bit. And of course, people like Joe, who are avid runners, they have this whole class of people called lean mass hyper responders. Yeah. So those people have higher levels of LDL, but that's because the body's making LDL to deliver fatty acids. So the body makes the LDL, it loads it up with the fatty acids flow through the bloodstream to deliver those fatty acids as energy to the cells in the body. And then when they drop off their payload, they become regular LDL again, right? So the LDL counts are high. And even though in the past it's been associated with heart disease, this normal function doesn't seem to create any heart disease, right? So there's this thing of, oh, it's high cholesterol, and then you learn, well, what are they talking about? They're talking about LDL and HDL, and they're not actually cholesterol. They're proteins that transport or clean up the, the cholesterol in the body. And of course, we find out cholesterol is one of the most important substances in the body, right? It's a component of tissues all over your body. It's very vital, right? So then they come out with all these statins to push down the levels of cholesterol, and then there's always these side effects, right? And it's like, well, when you look at it statistically, there doesn't seem to be any evidence that these statins do any good unless you or somebody's already had a heart attack, right?
Tom, can I ask you a question? Sorry, can I ask you a question? So when they give you a statin, that is to slow down the LDL cholesterol.
Mm-hmm. Well,
right?
No,
Or
it's the
suppress it.
production of actual
Or
cholesterol,
cholesterol.
the
Yeah.
cholesterol substance, not the LDL. Yeah,
Okay,
because
but the issue is not the LDL; it's the triglycerides, the fat in the blood.
well, I would agree that that's a bigger issue. High triglycerides is seems to be more detrimental than high LDL or a high or high actual cholesterol. Cholesterol is a fatty substance that has to be transported by proteins, because being that it's fatty, it doesn't move through the blood very well, because our blood is mostly like a saltwater solution, right? And so you see fat floating in dishwater, it tends to clump up, right? So
Which is
yeah.
what people think our blood looks like, by the way.
what's
Fat
that?
sitting in dishwater.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
people think our blood looks like.
So does a statin actually
It
affect
suppresses the production of cholesterol.
Yeah, but what about, does it do anything to the triglycerides? Sorry, that's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, I think I don't know, to be honest with you. The triglycerides,
Or is it only yeah, or is it only just there to for argument's sake, combat the effects of high LDL? Because if that's the case, that's pretty bad, isn't it? I mean, look, you shouldn't take it anyway, but
well, and you got to ask yourself, so when we look at cholesterol, they do a blood panel, and they look at the amount of actual cholesterol, not the LDL or the HDL or triglycerides. And they say, oh, it's too high. Most of that cholesterol was made by your body. Only, I don't know, it's something like 16% of it or something like that comes from your diet, right? So why is your body making that extra cholesterol?
the other thing I was
That's
going
the
to say
real
is,
question, right?
So here I goggled or Googled, do statins lower triglycerides? And it says statins decrease the body's production of cholesterol. Now, a big note here, most of cholesterol we don't get from animals. Most is like a genetic, how much cholesterol we produce. So I do want to make that point too.
your body
And
makes it.
and increases removal of cholesterol by the liver. So they reduce LDL cholesterol levels by as much as 25 to 55%. In addition, they can lower triglycerides. Statins may also reduce inflammation and may prevent heart attacks and strokes through this mechanism, which it seems to be, if you talk to someone like Bart Kay, the reason why statins work actually has nothing to do with the cholesterol part of it or triglycerides part of it, but has more to do with the lowering of inflammation in the body. Seems to be what actually helps in preventing the next heart attack. And it seems as though that could also be accomplished through taking a low dose aspirin, which for a long time a Bayer, right? There's the Bayer commercials of they sell the low dose aspirin for people to take every morning to lower body and the inflammation to help prevent a heart attack that morning, essentially, or the next morning, something like that. I forget the half-life of aspirin, but yeah.
So
Yeah.
so LDL cholesterol also transports
Mhm.
triglycerides and also HDL throughout the body, correct?
Yeah, so the
And
LDL's transporting the fatty acid chains and other fuels through the body and delivering them, and then the HDL comes back and cleans up the excess cholesterol.
so by lowering the LDL cholesterol or slowing it down, however you want to look at it, you're also slowing down the effects of the HDL cholesterol as well.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Well, it's lowering all cholesterol. So
I don't.
you got to
But don't you want your
remember
HDL?
that the
But doesn't your HDL
Uh,
cholesterol repair the body? So by lowering
well,
that,
and again,
it's not a good thing.
HDL and LDL are not actually cholesterol, right? They're on the cholesterol panel, but they're not cholesterol.
Mhm.
So
they're
they're
the
proteins.
lipids that it's like the car, and the cholesterol would be like the people inside the car.
They're the
'Cause there's
protein
more people.
transports for the lipids. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
So,
it causes
Interesting.
havoc in the body nonetheless. You
and
really
then,
shouldn't be messing
if
with
you,
your body's ability to produce cholesterol. It's just a bad idea.
yeah, the question is, why is the body producing so much cholesterol if it is really high, right? That's the question. Why is there inflammation? Why do your joints hurt? Whatever, whatever it is, I mean, there's all kinds of inflammatory responses, from a stuffy nose to asthma to,
Mm.
painful joints or swollen fingers, or, and so why is that going on? Right. And it's like anything. It's like, if you take the aspirin and you feel better, your headache goes away or whatever, your chest pain stops. It wasn't because were deficient in aspirin, right? Your cholesterol is not high because you're deficient in statins, right? They're a partial remedy at best for the thing that's actually going wrong, right?
Well, it's this
I
whole root cause healing thing,
heard a
right?
podcast.
Joe froze.
Okay, sorry, Joe. Yeah, it's this whole root cause healing thing, right? Where like allopathic medicine is more
You got it.
symptom reduction, symptom addressing versus actually healing the core issue causing X problem or whatever.
Yeah, and I get that question fairly recently, or fairly frequently now, is because, like, I'm 52. I know people are my age, a little older, a little younger, and they're like, yeah, why does the doctor put me on a statin? Well, how do you get away with eating meat every day, every day? Not just a little. I mean, I eat shrimp almost every day, and it's like very high in cholesterol. So you think, people are like, how do you get away with it? And I'm like, I think it's because I don't eat the other foods, and I exercise every day. So I think that's it. Appropriate exercise and, um, eating foods that don't cause inflammation, foods that don't glycate, your red blood cells and your endothelium, right? Foods that properly fuel your mitochondria in the cellular level. Because there's studies that show that the human heart actually runs best on animal fat as a fuel, right?
Hmm.
It's hard, repeatable science, which is, seems contradictory since animal fat's supposedly the thing that causes heart attacks, right?
Well, and this is all goes back to Ansel Keys, right?
Yeah,
And
I
then we
mean,
end up with the seed oil epidemic that we have now.
right. Right. Yeah. And I'm even people that aren't doing nutritional podcasts, I hear them talking about like canola oil, or rapeseed oil. They they're like, oh yeah, that was the thing. That was a healthy thing, healthiest choice for a long time. Now they're saying it's bad for you. And then of course we had all the hydrogenated vegetable oils that were supposedly better than butter, animal fat. And now they're pulling them off the market because the evidence is clear that they were causing the very disease that they were supposed to help prevent, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Well, because
and
they're
others.
highly inflammatory to the body.
Yeah. So
And obviously weren't really lowering cholesterol because all these people still have all this cholesterol and they're still prescribing statins left and right. So yeah, what an interesting time. But hey, I grew up on margarine, the
oh yeah.
imperial margarine, right?
Yeah, and the is it Cozy Shack or whatever? What's the one in the big brown tub, big tan colored tub?
I don't remember.
The
We didn't have
old
that around my house. I remember
yeah.
imperial. Um, there's another one I remember with some girl on it or something. I don't remember. And I
Yes.
always thought it was butter because you called it butter, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, grab the butter. Like no one told me it was margarine or there was any difference growing up. Not until I became way older, like as an adult, that I was like, what, this isn't butter? You were calling it butter the whole time, right?
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I was over at my cousin's house, and she's like, "Oh, let's make some popcorn," And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And she gets out a box of lard, and I'm like, "What? What is that?" It's pig fat. I was like, "What?" There was no lard in my house. And she was popcorn in it. And I was like, "Oh, this is groovy," But and then, it's like that stuff was so far removed from us, when we were kids, it's like you drink 2% milk and ate margarine, and then all the crazy cereals and bread and
I can't
peanut butter
believe
and
it's not
jelly.
butter.
I can't believe it's not butter. There you go.
But it's funny because it's like, well, then what is it, right? Like you never made that connection in my head. It's like, wait, I can't believe it's not butter. I just honestly thought it was butter still, even though the whole stick was, I
Mm.
can't believe it's not butter. And it
Oh,
was
I
like a
know
little
what
spray
that's.
bottle thing.
I know that stuff's called. It's called Country Crock.
Ah, yeah, that's the one.
Y-
Country crock.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
What
the
a
Crock of
one.
bunch of
shit.
crock.
It's a
What a
crock.
crock, all right.
Yeah, it's a crock of hydrogenated vegetable oil.
Yeah, but it had like they advertised it of like a farm, right? Like a little
Yeah, yeah. It had like a farmhouse or a
farm.
cabin or something on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that stuff is so far removed from the farm. It's not even, well, I guess still like, grabbing up all that rapeseed, I suppose. That's some farm.
Yeah. Or corn oil or whatever the hell it's made out of.
Yeah. And then what's sad is if you go buy lard from like a local store, it typically has like some kind of plant oil in it.
Yeah, they
So
put hydrogenated vegetable oil in it.
yeah.
It's like, and that was a big thing. You reading back, like, I guess the US was a major lard producer. And then when the hydrogenated vegetable oil came out, they kept adding it to it, and then people stopped wanting to buy it, so it really hurt the export economy based on that, right? It's like, well, how are we going to get it? And we got the same problem with olive oil, right?
Right.
The olive oils, from it usually comes from places like Italy and Greece and stuff like that. And same
Same
thing, they're mixing it with other oils,
with
cheaper
vegetable
oils.
oil.
Yeah.
There was a couple of years ago, there was a shortage of olive oil, and they were mixing it with vegetable oil.
Hmm.
Fact. But let me tell you guys, in a restaurant, it's very rare that you'll find a restaurant or a cafe or any hospitality venue that uses lard or even olive oil. It's too expensive. They use corn oil, vegetable oil, cottonseed oil, it's all this shit.
Now you've been to actually Italy. I know you have family in Italy, Joe. I imagine
Yeah.
in restaurants in Italy, though, they still use olive oil because it would be cheap there because it's sourced from there, right?
I
Look,
doubt
it's
it's
been a
any
while since.
cheaper than vegetable oil.
Yeah, yeah. Vegetable oil will always be cheaper. And at the end of the day, they're looking at, they don't care about you. They only care about their profit.
Right.
That's all they care about. So if they can get away with using vegetable oil, they'll use vegetable oil. When I grew up, so when I started my apprenticeship as a chef,
Mhm.
deep fry oil was lard. We used to use lard. You'd have to scoop it out of a tin and put it into the fryer and let it melt.
Mhm.
And everything used to taste fantastic. Over time, it was very expensive compared to vegetable oil or cottonseed oil. So people went that way.
Yeah, I think
it-
sometime when I was a kid, like McDonald's used to fry their fries in beef tallow.
Mhm.
doesn't
And
In-N-Out do that?
I don't
I
know
don't
what
think so.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
heard I heard that I think someone told me they still cook their fries in lard.
I don't know. That's
I have to look that one
worth
up.
looking into. But yeah, they changed to vegetable oil, and part of it was the pressure because like people from India and stuff, that don't eat cows in particular, or like, they couldn't, it was kind of cutting into their market, right?
Mhm.
So, and then of course the whole thing comes along. Oh, well, vegetable oil is supposed to be healthier for you, you know.
So In-N-Out fries are fried in 100% sunflower oil.
Okay. All right. So I'm
Mhm.
wrong. Okay.
Why
For
can't
some
we
reason, I
just
thought
why
that
can't we just feed the sunflowers to the pigs and then fry it in lard?
Fry up the bacon.
I think one of the restaurants I went to, I think they were boasting that they still fry like their chicken wings and their French fries in lard. Trying to remember which it might be that one. Remember when we went to the Prime Cut Cafe and there was sauced, that place sauce. It might be them.
Mm.
is that the one that we went to, or
It was the one that was right next to Prime Cut
or you?
Cafe.
Mhm.
Oh no, we did go there. We went there with Marissa. That's one you remember?
Sourced, yeah,
Yeah. I think they
Mm.
yeah.
do.
And then we went to the same day. We went and had the prime rib next door.
Mm.
I forgot that was the same day, and Marissa was correcting me. She's like, I was like, yeah, we went to Prime Cut Cafe and blah blah. I was telling her about that Last Chance Inn in Norco, how they have this amazing prime rib, and it was better than Prime Cut. She's like, oh yeah, you guys went to Prime Cut after we went to Sauce that day, and then you guys went to blah 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 afterwards. She remembered everything like it
Yeah,
happened
we went.
yesterday,
Yeah,
and I was there and I
yeah,
forget.
we went to downtown Disney,
Mm.
Right.
and then from there we went to your work. We went to not Scary Farm.
Mm.
Yeah, not scary
It was
farm.
all in the same day. We met your daughter.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to her. She doesn't call. I don't know what's up with
Mm.
that.
Mm.
Bitch.
Just confronted me and on the ride and then disappeared again. Kids these days, tell you.
You my dad?
So
Funny.
yeah, there was a lot of drugs in that park that night, I think. Because dead girl tried to kiss me. So
That's right. In one of the mazes. It was the second maze.
yeah, that's why I trimmed my beard. It's harder for him to get a hold of.
There you go. Safety first.
Safety first. Yeah. So what have you guys been eating? What's your carnivore lifestyle look like these days? Chef Joe, let's start with you. What have you been gobbling? Is he frozen? Oh,
Strip loins. No, I'm not frozen.
okay.
Strip loins. I did have a ribeye on the bone. It's quite nice from Norm. He dry aged it for me.
Scotch fillet.
5 weeks. No, it was on the bone though.
Nice.
So we call it a ribeye. Off the
Oh,
bone is called a Scotch fillet.
oh,
Mm.
thanks for
Yeah.
correcting me.
Yeah. So
Very
had that.
important detail.
I've had a little bit of chicken here and there, not much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been ribeyes, not ribeyes, strip loin. I just like strip loin.
Yeah, I was in the store and they had porterhouses on sale, and I
Mhm.
almost bought them, but I was looking at the New York strips and I was just like, they had almost no bone on them. And I just like the texture of the New York strip more because the tenderloin is good, but it's just a little tiny tender piece of meat. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to
Cost a
spend more
fortune.
money and get the strips, and
Mm.
instead of getting a stupid porterhouse. So I'm with you, man. Strip loins all the way. What
Like
sort
I don't mind. I don't mind ribeye, but yeah, I just strip loin for me just hits the spot.
Justin, what sort of culinary chaos is going on at your house?
So eggs with some ground beef and hot dog for breakfast. I don't know, it's kind of like a go-to for me.
Very American.
Uh, and then some New Yorks as well. So they had these really thick New Yorks at Costco. They're like an inch and a half thick, pretty meaty, pretty fatty, boneless. Um, pay. I mean, not top dollar, but you pay for that, right? They're about $10 a pound, which isn't terrible.
No.
It's not like, a bargain or anything either. Throw
Mm.
those in the air fryer about 9-10 minutes,
Mm.
and yeah, they're good to go. The foodie grill, or um, yeah, that's kind of been really good. Doing hibachi, some like Chinese buffets where like they have the hibachi and like you can just throw a bunch of raw meat and a bunch of shrimp, chicken if you want it. Avoid the crab because it's imitation crab. I learned that the hard way. Um, have them grill it up for you. I throw some minced garlic and onion in there just for a little bit of flavor. Garlic and onion. I don't eat the onion or garlic, but having it add the flavor doesn't seem to mess with me. And they usually have like some spicy crawdads to munch down on too.
Mm.
Um, so yeah. Other than that, just the occasional burger. Yeah, but keeping it majority carnivore at the moment.
I went to In and Out today.
Ah, hate you.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. I filled up on some Flying Dutchman.
There you go. How many did you have?
I only had four today.
Mm.
Wasn't
Soft.
super hungry, but I'm gonna probably go back because I got to drive by there a couple more times today. So I also pull in and get some more Dutchman. I'm just saying.
There you go.
Just
Zing.
don't send any photos, please.
What's that?
I said, just don't send me any photos.
Sure thing, man. I'll make sure and send you some photos.
Actually, I should get. I'll go get some beef patties from Norm,
Yeah.
and then I'll make my own here.
Mm,
But they use. I don't know what cheese they use. I've got to find that out. And I see if I
What?
can get it here.
yeah.
Here.
At In and Out. Yeah, I think it's just classic
Hmm.
American cheese, sliced
Mm.
cheese. Speaking of which,
What
I
is it? A
bought that
cheddar?
giant block of it when you were here, Justin, and I haven't even opened it yet.
Well, your house is quite stocked with cheese, so not surprised. And ribeyes now, so there you go.
Oh no, the ribeyes are long gone.
Of
Cheese is still
You
here.
got-
The ribeyes are gone. I
course.
haven't even come close to getting through all those hot dogs yet. So
There you go. On your chili, did you make a new batch of chili yet?
God.
yeah, and I got some more ground beef. I want to make another batch. So
Ooh,
Actually,
probably
the
not
next time.
tomorrow morning. Sorry, but Monday morning I am going to attempt a carnivore pancake. I found a very easy recipe. It's a 1-to-1 ratio of 1 ounce cream cheese for 1 egg. I guess you mix that together and it's like becomes more or less a pancake. So stay tuned. Be
yeah,
kind
so
of
do that
interesting.
tomorrow morning, and then tell us all about it on the live stream. Take some pictures.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be doing it tomorrow morning, but maybe
Yes, you
Monday
will.
morning. Okay, fine. Sometime. You can always fit in a egg and cream cheese into the diet.
Do I have to call Sarah and tell her to make sure you make it tomorrow morning?
Yeah, I suppose so. I should have gotten like some French vanilla, like drops or whatever, and some cinnamon. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, you guys want to wrap her up?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
It was a great cat's up.
Those are great cats up. It's good seeing you, Joe. We got to do this more.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun. I mean, look, I started a new job a year ago, and I now work in the mornings, so it's hard for me to join you guys every Sunday. Your Sunday, my Monday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we can set up some
But it's
alternate
been good.
times. Definitely.
Yeah, I like doing the live stuff. The live stuff is fun.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we can do lives at different times. So we can do that too. So
Mm.
that'll be great. All right, boys. Well, let's remind everybody out there to eat some meat, feel better,
Better.
whatever
Whatever
you
you
do.
do.
Don't fall down.
Down the
Carb hole.
carb hole.
Bye-bye.